Welcome to Programming Problems, Episode 5. Today, we will start a new series called Shoot for the Stars. In this series, we will aim to solve and explain all advent of code problems. For those of you who are not yet familiar with advent of code, it is a yearly returning event in December where we get to solve a new problem every day. The problems are quite varied, and every year it helps us save Christmas. Please find a link to the site in the description. For now, let's start at the beginning. We'll jump back to the year 2015, day 1, to solve Not Quite Lisp. The first part of the problem goes as follows. Santa needs to collect 50 stars by December 25th to power his weather machine's snow function. To achieve this, he must navigate a large apartment building using directions given by parentheses. An opening parenthesis means going up one floor, whereas a closing parenthesis means going down one. Now, the building is so tall that Santa cannot reach the top or bottom floors. So given a string of these instructions, on what floor does Santa end up? Let's look at a few examples. The first example has 2 open parentheses followed by 2 closed parentheses. This results in floor 0. Note that open, close also results in floor 0. In the second example, we have 3 opening parentheses, which means Santa goes up one floor 3 times, resulting in floor 3, just as the more complex example on the same line. Next up is 2 closing parentheses, followed by 5 opening parentheses. This also results in floor 3. Lastly, there are 2 examples which show a negative final floor. Can you now already solve the problem? Please pause the video to give it a try, and then we'll move ahead to the solution. Let's continue where we left off. Hopefully you can agree with me that this first part is quite simple. But don't fret now. As the days progress, it will get more complex. The first day, however, is simply an exercise of parsing input and counting the opening and closing parentheses, and then subtracting the closing from the opening. That should give us our first star. Let's see how the problem changes in part 2. It goes like this. Given the same instructions, find the position of the first character that causes Santa to enter the basement, which is the floor numbered -1. Note that the string is 1 indexed, meaning that the first character has position 1, the second character position 2, and so on. What is the position of the character? Again, now is a good moment to pause and solve it yourself. Now for the solution. In part 2, it is no longer sufficient to count all parentheses in one go. We have to keep track of the sum as we parse the instructions character by character. When we reach floor -1, we stop and report the index. The following is a small example which shows you how this works. First, we go up and reach floor 1, then we go down and reach floor 0, and so on. Eventually, we reach floor -1 on position 9. And that was it. We now have our first 2 stars. Thank you for learning with us, and don't forget to subscribe to catch our weekly episodes. Until then.